Hello,
we're in a special lesson on perception of reality. As always, you can ask questions on Kab.tv. Relevant questions may be aired during the lesson. We're reading excerpts about perception of reality. This will be excerpt number 142.
The topic is not very fit for clothing in our cells, feeling and intellect, because there's something in its opposite. There's the will to receive, enjoyment and pleasure, and it works in an opposite way from itself. And it's also not exactly clear what opposite means. What to oppose, what conditions. We are here in order to arrange ourselves in spiritual work in a way that we don't really understand what's happening here. So there are a couple of corporeal conditions here that are also difficult to observe. There's myself and the world, with everything that's in it, and the group that's something different than the world, that already has a spiritual aspect, and I need to treat her as spiritual, treat the group as spiritual. But how do you do that? How can I determine an attitude towards it, like the spirituality and the Creator that's being revealed in the group? To arrange all these things in a simple way that I would be able to work with it, to see what depends on what, and how to direct myself to some state that I, with my world, with the group, and with the Creator, we all enter the right unity, the right kind of fit for one another, what depends on what. But we can talk about what we're studying, how we should behave in the group, how we should behave toward the world, and of course toward the Creator, toward ourselves. But I don't find here anything common between us, and that's the problem. In perception of reality that we study, that we're learning now, this is the entrance to spirituality, and everything else that will come up, and God willing, succeed in our true perception of reality. We are still we still feel that there's no more than perception of reality, which is divided into many parts, each time opposite, disturbing one another, until I try to connect them properly, such that Israel, the light and the Creator are one, the Torah. And then the Creator can enter the right adaptation, connection properly, until it comes all the way to dvekut, adhesion. The thing that we have to notice is how we connect all these causes, myself, the world, the ten, and the Creator. How do we connect it all to one mechanism? All right, let's see what he says about it.
אנחנו קוראים מתוך מסמך מקורות בנושא תפיסת המציאות, קטע מספר 142.
Reading from the excerpts on perception of reality document.
142.
This one is not translated. 142. The matter of attainment of godliness is dressed in many names. Generally, it is called the light of Torah or wisdom, meaning that spiritual pleasure isn't just pleasure, but it's a revelation of the names of the Creator. And by that, and to that we need the lack, which is called vessels and need. And therefore we need an awakening from below, because specifically by our work in Torah and Mitzvot, we attain the vessels called the need for the light of Torah. So a person should be cautious, not to be overwhelmed by the descents he receives. Rather, he should learn from it how to appreciate the importance of coming closer to the Creator. As it is written, the light excels from darkness. It turns out that this will be the interpretation of revealing a portion and covering two portions in the work. Meaning there are three discernments in the work until we come to the adhesion with the Creator. One is the sacred still aspect, meaning that he works only by action, and that's called one line. Two, when he's shown a portion, meaning from above by way of surrounding light, he is shown what's to be attained regarding godliness. And that gives him confidence that he will attain great attainments. And he'll see that it's worthwhile living for it. And his life won't be like the life of the rest of the people in the world who live without a purpose. 3. Then he comes to the third state, which is a descent, meaning he is being requested to reveal the awakening from below. And that state is called covering two portions, meaning not only the state of revelation was covered from him, but now the state of sacred still was also covered from him, meaning that now it is difficult for him to engage in Torah and Mitzvot even by way of action without intention. So it turns out that he now has two covers. One, the revelation of the portion, and two, the state of the sacred still. He used to engage in Torah and Mitzvot enthusiastically, and that state disappeared from him also. And why all that happens, meaning why it now needs to be even more covered than in the first state, called sacred still, the answer is that he will not settle for little and remain as still. It turns out that the revelation of the portion was for free, meaning that he didn't make any action to come closer to the Creator. However, now he is unable to do anything if not by coercion, and so he must think and find counsels for how to work the work of holiness again. Therefore, he must be covered twice now. We'll read this excerpt once more. This is from Rabash.
A little slower.
The matter of the attainment of godliness is dressed in many names. Generally, this is called the light of Torah or Chokhmah, wisdom, meaning that this matter of spiritual pleasure is not just pleasure. Rather, it is a matter of the revelation of the names of the Creator.
Meaning not just the flavors on the table, but also the revelation of the giver. That's the main thing.
And we merit this by the lack, which is called vessels and need.
That we have to know the giver. It's what we need to develop.
Therefore, we need an awakening from below, because specifically by our work in Torah and Mitzvot, we attain these vessels, called the need for the light of Torah.
Meaning that we have no desire to know the Creator. Creator is called good that does good. The force of bestowal that we attain from below according to similarity of form. So we don't have it. On the contrary, we discover the Creator as the source of our reception, which is incorrect. So the awakening from below is something we need to develop. This awakening from ourselves. Still, it's something we don't have yet. This is an awakening to be in the kelim of bestowal in order to bestow to the Creator, and then to receive from Him in order to bestow to Him. Developing this kind of deficiency is great work. This work is called work in the Torah and Mitzvot. My desires, my common desires that are divided into 620, gradually I correct them, gradually meaning one after the other. I somehow invoke upon them the light that reforms. It's called the Torah. And then through the Torah and Mitzvot, the Torah that comes from above, the Mitzvot that I try to do from below, in such a way I prepare my Kli to want to reveal the force of bestowal according to as much as I am able to draw closer to it in the quality of bestowal.
Therefore, the person should be cautious to not be overwhelmed by the descents.
So to discover the man, the right deficiency for the Creator, we are in being influenced from above, which acts on us as ascents and descents in all sorts of understandings, meanings. This could be in attainment, in understanding, in strength, and in vitality, and lots of things. In how we look at the world, above and below, ourselves with respect to that as well, in spirituality. But it's changes, ascents and descents. And these changes that we can always identify, that we can't always identify, the question is how we interpret them, how we receive them. Because everything depends on our understanding, our awareness of what these changes are coming to do.
Since from this, a person learns how to appreciate the importance of coming closer to the Creator.
From all the ascents and descents, at the end of the day, when we're confused and we fall and we're unhappy and dissatisfied, we're being dragged through the years, through these states that we don't understand. At the end of the day, we come to a state. How'd you call it?
Since by this a person learns how to appreciate the importance of coming closer to the Creator.
That according to the investment, according to the influence of the light that reforms, the influence of the society especially, at the end the person begins to feel that what's important for him is not feeling good, but rather coming closer to the Creator. Even if it's not accompanied by some good feelings and other success, but specifically proximity to the Creator, some greatness of Him, some exaltedness, all of that comes out of the fog. And that's what's important for him. Where does it come from? From investment. That he invests in all sorts of things on the path.
As it is said, the light excels from darkness. It turns out, accordingly, is the interpretation of revealing a portion and covering two in the work. Meaning, there are three discernments in the work until we come to the discernment of adhesion with the Creator. 1.
Here you can say that also there are many discernments in that. Different facets. But you can also say, if we come to the revealing of the portion, then it's an ascent, and then what do we get? A descent. In the descent, we descend below that place where we got the portion, and even more to another portion. It means concealing two portions. So from this new digging, we come to the raising a greater deficiency. So the revealing one portion conceals two. Ascent is one portion, but the descent has to be greater than the ascent, because otherwise we won't have a desire to come out of it.
One, he is as sacred still, meaning working only in terms of actions, which is called one line.
Well, what is an act? Or an action? Somebody can say that they performed the Torah and mitzvot as acceptable by the religious society. We have our own interpretation that an action is study, group, all the actions that we need to do, for everything that Rabash writes in his first articles, and the matter of organizing the society, that we need to actualize. It doesn't matter if I appreciate it, if I'm excited. The realization is a realization. It's called the inanimate.
2. When he's shown a portion, meaning from above, he's shown by the surrounding light what there is to attain in terms of godliness. And by this, he acquires confidence that he'll have great attainments, and he'll see that this is worthwhile living for, and his life won't be like the life of the rest of the world who lives without purpose.
Again.
2. Again, when he's shown a portion, meaning from above, he is shown by way of surrounding light what there is to attain in terms of godliness. And he receives by that confidence that he'll attain great attainments. And he'll understand that this is worthwhile living for, and his life won't be like that of the rest of the world who lives without purpose.
That sounds pretty good, to receive from above some perspective. What awaits him?
3. Then he comes to the third state, which is a descent. As it is said, that he is being demanded to reveal an awakening from below. That state is called covering two portions, meaning not only the state of revelation was covered from him, but now the state of the still was also covered, meaning now it is difficult for him to even engage in Torah and mitzvot by way of action without intention.
Right, to come to Yeshivat Chaverim, to the lessons, to participate, to arrive, that's one thing, but even participating, even in the mind. The study, like everything, is very difficult. We see this. Why? Why can't I just study wisdom of Kabbalah like any other science that doesn't quite depend on my mood? Here, it doesn't work like that. I fall, I don't want to open the book, nothing, everything is disgusting. can't do anything. This is the covering of two portions. That intentionally we're given not just the concealment on what we attained, but much more than that. And the more we advance, the ascents are more meaningful, and accordingly, so are the descents. There's a great meaning to this.
It turns out that now he has two covers, one for the state of revelation of the portion, two, also the state of the still, where he used to engage in Torah and mitzvot enthusiastically, and now that state also disappeared from him. Why all this? Meaning, why is it required now to be more covered than even the first state called the sacred still? The answer is, so he won't settle for little and remain as a still. It turns out that the revelation of the portion was for free, meaning that it didn't make any action to get closer to the Creator. However, now he is unable to do anything if not by coercion. And then he must think and find counsels how to work the work of holiness again. And therefore, he must be covered by two portions now.
Is that it? All right. Clear? Yes or no? There's no reason to ask anything. What would you ask? No questions.
What kind of a descent is it if he can think and find advice for how to go back to the work of the Creator?
It's not a descent. He gains additional difficulty or questions. In a descent, you have a few different states that disappear and change. If you feel that you still have a chisaron, deficiency to engage in it, to integrate somehow in the study, in the understanding, in the discernments, it's a partial descent. It's not that we need to wait for descents in which we disconnect entirely and fall to a state that we were in before we even came here, and even further below. But there are these falls, these descents when a person doesn't lose the desire, the sensation, or either that he feels that he has the opportunity to continue in all sorts of with his problems. Even despite having those problems, he's still in unity and dissemination, in some similarity with the group, at least in corporeal qualities. This is the holy inanimate. This means that I am without mind, without feeling, but I still observe everything. I don't break my external framework. That's first of all. We need to worry about that. We get up in the morning, we go to the lesson. What happens? I don't know. It's automatic. I turn myself on like a machine, robot, and I just go. I come and I sit. I don't know if I can hear or not, but I sit. I can't unite, but I'm present. Meaning the body is in its place, on the seat, and so on. This is first of all. Below that, I don't allow myself to fall. And we need to agree that with the friends that bring me, if I can't even crawl myself. This needs to be the common obligation and the common arvut that we have, that we provide each friend this service, that we don't leave anyone outside of the morning lesson. It's a must to come. Let's say. So this means that he observes the Torah and mitzvot on the level of the inanimate. What I'm given, why? Because in this body, I am in this world. Meaning I have governance over it, control. Although sometimes, but at least I have friends. They can pick me up and drag me, carry me. There's always the opportunity to get up and arrive here. But the rest of the things are not in this world. They're already in bestowal, connection with the Creator, the internality of the group, and so on. And those are different things. But the inanimate we can't give up. This is an obligation that must be carved into bone.
During the lesson and also during the day, you feel there are kind of choice points. Either you fall and succumb to the load, or you can overcome it and make an effort.
Right.
What determines that a person overcomes?
Importance of the Creator, greatness of the Creator. That's why we need to immediately work on the greatness, exaltedness. It's everywhere. We only have one problem. The greatness of the host with respect to the refreshments before us. These lines need to be one on top of the other.
Is it useful to pay attention to these states? Because I see that if I do pay attention to it, then almost every moment and
it's tiring.
Yeah, it's tiring and exhausting and frustrating.
When you lower your head, you'll have a thought, and somewhere in the heart, you'll have a feeling that the Creator governs everything, does everything, holds you, and you don't disconnect from that sensation and the knowledge of that. There's a tiny, tiny point of connection. You don't need to develop it or cut it off. Maybe it bothers you in your work that you do somewhere. But that point must remain constantly in a state that I can't tell you. I always give you the example of a mother and her baby. It doesn't matter if she left the baby at home, she goes to work, to the market. All the time there's always a little thought that she's thinking about him.
It just happens many times that if I really, make the account and I don't give myself discounts, I see that 99% of the times I could overcome, I fell. And a day passes and again. And on the one hand, it builds a prayer. On the other hand, it extends for a long time.
But still, all the pennies add up to a great account, and let's expect salvation. We also need to notice the covering of the two portions. Am I really receiving the covering of two portions? And by that I ascend. Am I truly descending to the covering of two portions? Here there's a matter of the extent to which a person appreciates where he is. it could be that the state is okay, but I look at it or appreciate it as the covering of two portions. I shouldn't wait until I get such a blow that I completely disconnect and I don't see anything. No, then it's not the covering of two portions. It's less than that. It's just unconsciousness. But covering of two portions means that I'm aware of where I am, that that the state is much, much worse than it was before. From this state, I must try to bring myself to deficiency. It's not just a covering. What? Darkness and that's it? So darkness I fall and that's it. Maybe I wait. Maybe something will happen. I'm not able to do it. But here there's work with the group. Because a prisoner can't break himself out of prison. And then from that covering of two portions, that double fall, I begin to raise man.
That's the whole thing. Otherwise, what's the use of the descent I've received? And here, we'll have to feel how the Arvut is the first condition to receive the Torah, because how will you come to the Man to draw the light that reforms upon you if you're not in mutual guarantee with the group? Because in the lowest state, you fell to, one cannot save himself from imprisonment, and therefore you must have Arvut. And if you don't have Arvut, you can't develop Man. Without developing Man, you can't invite the Mad, which is the direct light, the light of Torah, that influences you, that begins to save you. So there's an issue here of the mitzvah and the Torah. There's such an article in Shamati that the Torah saves and protects when you engage in it, and the mitzvah only protects when you're engaged in it. And we just mentioned it here, and like the Arvut, yes, Arvut, no, why? But if you have no need for it, then it's just, generally speaking about it. Here we'll come to see how exactly in each and every step this is needed, and how consistently we need to go through that. Yes. All right, let him finish.
Right, last question. There's a sensation in these states that there's a great need for Arvut, that you really need the friends to come and give strength to overcome in the work. But it's not clear where to search for them. Where inside?
You still don't have a need. Meaning there is a need, but it's a more external one. No scrutiny yet. It'll come. It'll come. There are also such stages here that I can't interfere with. Otherwise, the lack on behalf of the lower one will not be complete.
In connection to that, specifically, Avinam asks from Chedera, how do we increase the exaltedness of the Creator? It's clear that it's the work inside the group, but in the states that we talked about during the day, when you need to determine how there do we increase the exaltedness of the Creator?
There's a lack for that. If there is a lack, then it has to manifest in the group. The greatness of the Creator, I cannot receive it from anyone but the group. Not from above, not from myself, only from the group. That's why I said there are a few factors here. Me, the world, the group, the Creator. How do we use all of these factors? Yes.
Rav, how do you at that moment do it?
Me? What about me?
I raise the importance of the Creator at that moment.
I receive. You'll receive it too, if you want it. It all depends on the lack and the use Well, let's move forward.
Excerpt number 151, Rabash Gimel, the order of the work. First, one must believe above reason that the Creator wishes to do good for His creatures. That's why He created His creatures and instilled in them the will and the yearning to receive pleasure. And for this reason, it is only a vessel of reception, since one cannot enjoy something unless he yearns for it. And without a desire, he can receive but not enjoy. Since the vessel of enjoyment is called delight, craving, and so on.
So in our world, it's called to receive. But in spirituality, if you don't have a lack, you cannot receive. You can't convey anything, if not from the will to bestow to the will to receive. Therefore, the reception is only measured by the grace, and accordingly by the delight, and accordingly is the pleasure.
But this should be above reason, because when one looks through his mind, he cannot find the Creator's providence over the world as benevolent. On the contrary. Hence they say that one must believe above reason that it's true. And truly, if His providence is benevolent, why is it not felt within reason? And we learn that it is so because of the correction of the bread of shame. Therefore, as long as the created beings do not have vessels of bestowal, they are unable to see light and remain in darkness. When one believes in the good and the pleasure that is found above reason, he reaches a feeling in his reason to recognize the evil within him. Namely, since he believes that the Creator bestows so much good and pleasure, and though he sees all the good above reason, he comes to the recognition, meaning that he feels with all his senses the evil force that is found within the receiver that prevents him from receiving all the best. It follows that his faith above reason causes him to feel within reason his enemy, the one that prevents him from attaining the good. With this reason, with his reason, and this is the way that he reaches his attribute, in the measure that he believes above reason in the good and the pleasure, in the same degree he can come to recognize and feel his own evil. And this feeling of evil brings him afterward to the feeling of good and pleasure. Contentment, since the recognition of evil in all his senses causes him to correct the evil. And this is done mostly through prayer, that he asks the Creator to allow him complete bestowal, which is called dvekut, adhesion, that by these vessels the purpose of creation will be revealed, namely that it will not be in concealment, because one already has vessels fit for reception.
Again.
We'll read again, excerpt number 151, Rabash, Article 68, the order of the work. First, one must believe above reason that the Creator wishes to do good to His creatures. And that's why He created them and instilled in them the will and the yearning to receive contentment. And for this reason, it is only a vessel of reception. Since one cannot enjoy something unless he yearns for it. And without a yearning, he can receive but not enjoy, since the vessel of enjoyment is called delight and craving, and so on. But this should be above reason, because when one looks through his mind, he cannot find the Creator's providence over the world as benevolent. Rather, on the contrary. Hence they say that one must believe above reason. And truly, if his providence is benevolent, then why is it not felt within reason? We learned that it is so because of the correction of the bread of shame. Therefore, as long as the created beings do not have vessels of bestowal, they are unable to see the light and remain in darkness. When one believes in the good and the contentment that is found above reason, he reaches a feeling in his reason to recognize the evil within him. Namely, since he believes that the Creator bestows so much good and delight, and though he sees all the good above reason, he then comes to a recognition, meaning that he feels with all his senses the evil force that is found within the one that receives for himself, that prevents him from receiving all the best. It follows that his faith above reason causes him to feel his enemy within reason, the one that prevents him from attaining the good. And this is the way that he reaches his attribute. And in the measure that he believes above reason in the good and the contentment, in that same degree he comes to recognize and feel his own evil. This feeling of evil brings him to the feeling of good and contentment. Since the recognition of evil in all his senses causes him to correct his evil, and this is done through prayer, that he asks the Creator to give him complete bestowal, which is called dvekut, that by these vessels the purpose of creation will be revealed openly, namely that it will not be concealed, because one already has vessels fit for reception.
Questions? Today you are...
It's written in such a general way that it's hard to understand what the order of the work is here.
Meaning, still there's no correct perception of what he writes. Perhaps he's writing things that are supposed to tear you to pieces, I don't know. But, you are kind of... Look how a cat responds to being next to a human. The human can cry and yell, and the cat will perhaps just, move his ears a little bit. At least the ear is moving then. Yes, Alex.
So, regarding the order of the work, is it a clear, like an algorithm, like a law, the development of the cleaning of the vessel?
לגבי ניקוי הכלים, האם זה עבודה... סדר העבודה, לגבי סדר העבודה
וניקוי ותיקון הכלים. Yeah, the order of the work in terms of cleaning the vessels.
סדר העבודה הוא פשוט.
The order of the work is simple. All we lack is a lack. chisaron, the lack for the revelation of the Creator. Because his desire is to do good to the created beings, and the created beings need to feel good about revealing the Creator. This is the gift that the Creator prepared for the created beings. But the created beings need to work on this lack, because that's how you'll feel the desire for Him. So the Creator created the desire, but it's not the desire for the pleasure that needs to appear. And we need to start from the desire we've got and build a new desire, a new lack specifically for the Creator, meaning the quality of bestowal and love and giving, which we don't have. We have the opposite. So, the Creator created the foundations, the inclinations, the data with which we can put together the desire for His revelation, but the work is working against our preliminary initial desire, which is a desire to enjoy. And the desire we need to achieve is a desire to give pleasure to Him, to the Creator, that I'll enjoy giving Him joy. That's the whole thing we don't understand. How to build it, why, what to build it. We lack a feeling of it and orienting ourselves in it. And so Kabbalists explain this to us, that it has to be so, because otherwise it won't be your own lack. You won't be able to enjoy it if it's not your own lack. You have to build it. You have to create it. You have to go through each and every detail of it and understand it and put it together and all those details. And to the extent that you work with these details and you reveal the Creator, then you see that you discover the Creator, and the Creator fulfills all of the elements of desire that you have. But because we need to position the will to bestow on our part, so we're in a state where we can make some step forward, but then that's it. Why that's it? Because we have no feeling of the vessels of bestowal, of the intention to bestow, the Creator. We don't have it. And then we're like in a fog. And therefore, your question of how do we beautifully and smoothly build a track to make it clear that I can even, put a checklist next to it. I went through this and that, and now I still have this and this and that. No, you won't be able to. No, you'll always fall and get confused, and because otherwise, if we had that as a clear knowledge, which we always look for, we wouldn't be able to attain the greatness of the Creator, the greatness of the host, what we call exaltedness or greatness. Because spirituality is dressed in other kinds of vessels. What can you do? So now we learn in terms of perception of reality, we are learning a new approach, but what kind of an approach? We studied this for a long time, but now we are firmly insisting upon this. About what? About what I think and what I feel and the reality I'm in. These components, they come to me from the Creator directly and decisively, and I have no way to influence them. That's it. What I've got in my mind, what I've got in my heart, meaning what I've got within me, it all comes from the Creator, except for what's in the point in the heart. That's one. Two, this situation I'm in, the circumstance, the group, the world, and all this corporeality, it also comes from Him to the very last detail. Including the group, the teacher, the method, the Torah, all of it. And what's coming to me each and every moment is in the best possible way, except for none else besides Him, good that does good. Meaning it's all for the best of my development. Now the question is, what do I do with it? But simply by being activated by the Creator and designed by Him in each and every moment, from this moment on, it already gives me the right place to start making a move. You're looking for this kind of clarity, and this clarity will come. It'll come, but where will it come from? It comes from a different point than what you want. The point you're looking for is, where can I see the whole process in my mind? And I'm telling you, no. You're not going to be able to understand it like that. You're going to understand it only from adhesion with the Creator. That whatever I've got, every moment comes from Him. He designs me. And then everything becomes clear to me. It's because it's coming from Him. And now the question is only, how do I respond to Him and not to all kinds of instances in this world or in the next world or whatever, only the Creator. So first of all, don't detach from that point that He establishes everything. That's the first condition. And in truth, through this point, I begin to understand His behavior with me. The mind, the heart, why does He take me through these confusions and descents? But I don't make any action. This has to be clear. You're asking for clarity. The clarity has to come only from adhering to Him, that He designs me each and every moment. If I want to be in more adhesion, then group, dissemination, etc. But it's all adding to that point that there is none else besides Him. Yes.
So in the previous excerpt, he treated the light like surrounding light.
It's the light that reforms. The surrounding light is the light that reforms. It's destined to enter you after it corrects your vessels.
But in the work itself, we work in the inner light, the direct light.
What the direct light is with the screen. You don't have a screen yet. You don't have anything. All the light that is supposed to enter you in the future is now considered surrounding light. When we say the light that reforms, what's the light that reforms? The same light that now stands outside the Kli, outside my desire, because the desire is broken. And the light pressures and causes the correction of the Kli. And accordingly, when the Kli reaches correction, then some of the light partially can enter.
When he talks about the three The three phases earlier, is it before the screen?
I think, well, yes and no. There's some of it is yes and some of it's no. Where is it again? That the sacred seal, when he carries out in corporeality whatever is possible, when he's shown a portion, meaning from above, the surrounding light shows him what there is to attain in terms of godliness, and he gets confidence that he'll have great attainments. Secondly, that it's worthwhile living for. This is also still before attainment. Then when he comes to the third discernment, which is a descent of covering two portions, it's all still preparation mode, yeah. All right, we'll move to the next stage. We have a question from Moscow, and then I see that we should move on to Pticha, to preface. You are asleep. Moscow.
Hi, Rav. You said that the first point not to disconnect is that everything comes from him. The question is, what is the second and third point?
All of the rest of the points come according to the same line. None else besides him, good that does good. That's what we need to discover. So to always adhere to none else besides him, good that does good. And that's all according to man's appreciation of what is good, where perhaps in his vessels he feels bad, but he has to understand that it's actually a good influence from the Creator, but it's then inverted because it's received in vessels of reception. And that does good is accordingly, that he attains that whatever the Creator does with him is in order to benefit him. All right, we're moving to the preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah.